Right now, we are living through a transformation that is, frankly, unlike anything we've ever seen before. And it's not just about one shiny new gadget. It's this massive wave of interconnected revolutions all happening at once. It's a total digital metamorphosis. So let's dive in and break down how these incredible forces are fundamentally rewriting our world, piece by piece.
Okay, so you might not even realize it, but you're using AI literally all day, every day. Think about it. The spam filter that cleans up your inbox. The next show Netflix just knows you're going to love. That's all AI. But here's the thing. The AI we have today, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real question, the one we're going to explore, is what's being built right now and how is it about to change, well, everything?
All right, Act 1. To even begin to understand this new world, we've got to start with its brand new mind, artificial intelligence. And look, when I say AI, I'm not just talking about sci-fi robots. It's so much bigger than that. We're talking about building systems that can reason, that can learn, and, this is the crazy part, that can even create in ways we're just starting to wrap our heads around. So, the first thing to get is that AI isn't just one single thing. It's not this big, scary monolith. A much better way to picture it is like one of those Russian nesting dolls. You've got the big doll on the outside, but inside, there are layers. And at the very core, you find the newest, most powerful ideas. They all fit inside this bigger concept of artificial intelligence. So come on, let's peel back these layers together. Okay, the progression here is really what's important. It all started with this broad idea of AI, which was basically just teaching computers to follow a set of rules. Then we got a little smarter with machine learning, where we said, hey, what if we let the computers learn from data themselves? Your spam filter getting better and better is a perfect example of that. Deep learning then kicked it up a notch, using these really complex neural networks to understand all the messy, unstructured stuff in the real world, like images and sound. But honestly, the real mind-blowing leap is generative AI. This is the game changer. This is the stuff that doesn't just recognize a picture of a cat, it can create an entirely new, totally believable picture of a cat that has never, ever existed. That's a whole new level.
But to build that kind of world-altering AI, well, you need a completely new kind of engine. I mean, the computers that got us this far, they're not going to cut it for what comes next. So that brings us to Act 2. What kind of incredible power do you actually need to fuel this new digital mind?
So for decades, pretty much all of our computing has been built on one simple idea, the bit. It's basically a light switch. It's either on or it's off, a 1 or a 0. Simple. But now, quantum computing comes along and introduces the qubit. And I want you to stop thinking of a light switch and start thinking of a dimmer switch. A qubit can be off, it can be on, and it can be a million different shades in between, all at the exact same time. It sounds like a small change, but trust me, it unlocks a truly exponential leap in computing power. And the magic trick that makes this all possible? It's a concept called superposition. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you have a giant keychain and you need to find the one key that opens a door. A normal computer would try each key one by one by one. But a quantum computer, because of superposition, gets to try every single key on that chain at the exact same moment. It's a fundamental shift from solving problems one step at a time to exploring all the possibilities at once. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. You have the qubits, which hold this unbelievable amount of information. You have superposition, which lets them process all the possibilities at once. And then there's this other wild property called entanglement, which links these qubits together so that what happens to one instantly affects another, even if they're miles apart. But you're probably asking, so what? What does this actually do for us? Well, this completely new way of computing could solve problems that are just impossible for even our most powerful supercomputers today. We're talking about things like designing life-saving drugs, molecule by molecule, or creating climate models that are actually accurate. This is the engine that the most advanced AI is going to need. Now, having all that incredible power is one thing, but you've got to connect it. And just like computers, our networks have been evolving with a really clear purpose in mind. 4G, that was all about connecting people. You, me, our smartphones, video calls. Then came 5G, which is all about connecting machines. Think about self-driving cars talking to each other, or smart factories where a single millisecond of delay could be a disaster. But the next frontier, what we're looking at with 6G, that's about integrating AI directly into the network itself. We're talking about a future with things like holographic communication and maybe even an internet of senses. It's wild.
So a good question is, where does all this thinking actually happen? Well, it's really a partnership. You have the cloud, that's the massive centralized brain. It's doing all the heavy lifting, the super deep analysis. But for those split-second decisions, you can't afford to send data all the way to the cloud and wait for an answer.
And that's where edge computing comes into play. The thinking happens right there on the device itself, on the self-driving car, the security camera, the sensor. You could say the edge provides the lightning-fast reflexes, while the cloud provides the deep, long-term learning. Okay, so let's recap. We've got this incredible new intelligence with AI. We've got these revolutionary new engines like quantum and cloud computing to power it all. But all of this amazing tech needs a new universe to live in, and that brings us to Act 3. The very fabric of the internet itself is being rewoven as we speak.
The internet has been evolving, and our role in it has been changing right along with it. Just think back to Web 1.0. We were basically just consumers, right? We just read stuff on static web pages. Then Web 2.0 came along, the social web, and suddenly we were all creators. But there was a huge catch. The platforms, the big tech companies, they owned everything we made. The big shift we're seeing with Web 3.0 is all about taking that ownership back. The idea is that your digital identity, your data, your creations, they should belong to you and be secured by things like the blockchain.
And really, that's the absolute core idea here. It's about moving away from an internet that's controlled by just a handful of giant corporations to a web that's actually operated by its users, by all of us, collectively. It's about getting rid of the central gatekeepers and putting control back into the hands of the individual.
But okay, what comes after we get ownership back? What's the next horizon? Well, people are already talking about Web 4.0, sometimes called the symbiotic web. And this is where things get really futuristic. This is the point where the web stops being just a tool that we command and it becomes more of a partner. One that actually understands our intent. An internet that anticipates what we need before we even ask, blurring the lines between our own thoughts and the digital world around us.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most profound question of all. When all of these technologies we've talked about, the creative AI, the power of quantum computing, this new symbiotic web, when they all finally converge, and the boundary between the human mind and the digital network truly starts to dissolve, what does it even mean to be human anymore? That is the digital metamorphosis we are only just beginning to witness.